As my sonorous voice makes them realise that poetry is being performed once again in these hallowed cellars. The first poem I read in the first half was a poem set in India, in Goa. And a little while ago I travelled around northern India, and I was travelling on a train from New Delhi over to the direction of Calcutta. And on the way, I shared a compartment with an Indian classical dancer and a friend, and we got talking about art in our respective cultures. And so this is like a conversation about a bridge between cultures. So it's called Overnight on the Rajani Express. "What kind of poetry do you write?" said the Indian princess, her lithe dancer's body leaning forward with interest, her meltingly dark eyes shining in the dim glow of the cabin, a river of hair shimmering as she spoke. "What kind of poetry do you write?" She commands an answer. I long to say, I write only the kind that aches for you, that mourns your unattainability and celebrates your fabulous beauty. But I tell her that my poetry is about life and love and politics, and the ordinary moments that keep us sane or threaten our sanity with their insanity. The Indian princess nods, a world of understanding in her eyes. She returns to meditating while the train rattles through this strange and magical night. Sudden bridges and rivers emerging out of darkness, a lit boat moving slowly across a wide bay, a building picked out in red lights. The mysteriousness of it all, the Indian princess lying in her bunk, her graceful body barely rising as she breathes, and the world turning, its poverty and its richness in tune with the sing-song rhythm of the wheels. My partner Ruth her father was one of the troops who was involved in the D-Day landings, and I wrote this poem 5 years ago on the 60th anniversary of D-Day. It's just been obviously the 65th, and it was written after we'd just been lying in bed in the morning listening to the ceremony on the wireless. Yes, indeed. It was only 5 years ago as well. Technology moves so quickly these days, doesn't it? We lie in bed, listening to the radio, loving the silence when there is nothing left to say. On some beach there, some 60 summers past, your father rescued our tomorrows, our today. His heartbeat lies in my arms. His lovely Ruth, my lovely Ruth, our dearest comrade in arms. Later, we toast his memory at the Morpeth Arms, with beer and sunshine, no false alarms. This is what peacetime means, your blessed gift to us, dear hero, Charles. Everybody's sitting so far away. Do I throw out a lot of spit when I read? Possibly. Or I have to see like shower. Anyway, this one's talking of spit. This one's actually about water. I'm going to the seaside tomorrow to Margate, which many of you will know is where T.S. Eliot wrote part of The Wasteland, in the beach shelter there. Well, this is a poem about my...
Explains a lot.
Yeah, he was very miserable at the time. Couldn't get a decent cup of tea anywhere. Well, this is a poem about... Bognor Regis is one of my favourite places to go on the coast. And curiously enough, James Joyce lived in Bognor Regis for a year, writing one of his masterpieces. And sometime earlier, Dante Gabriel Rossetti was also down there. And there's blue plaques on little terraced houses near the seafront. So I wrote this poem after finding out about James Joyce living in Bognor Regis, and the poem is trying to answer the question, why did James Joyce choose Bognor Regis? What was James Joyce doing in a terrace by the sea, writing Finnegan's Wake in Bognor in 23, in an ancient town where beachcombers walk the sky, with a pier 1,000 feet long where old bluesmen come to die, and restaurants shut at 6 in respect of the setting sun, and all that is left by then is the drinking still to be done, or watching the crazies at crazy golf, arrested here if they merely cough. This is not the best place to be if you want to make sense of what you see at the sea. God knows what Joyce thought of pubs where barmaids pull Guinness so fast. Perhaps he just loved the way the day seems to last and last and last and last and last. This second set of mine is turning into a bit of a literary gazette. The next poem is called Solzhenitsyn in Scotland, and after Alexander Solzhenitsyn died last August, I heard a programme on the radio where a friend of his said that he used to visit him in Scotland and they'd go walking in the rain. So I tried to imagine what that must have been like. Solzhenitsyn in Scotland. Walking in the rain reminded him he was free. Walking now was freedom. Rain now was freedom. Then walking meant walking to labour. Getting wet was life-threatening. No coat to shield malnourished skin. Only a righteous anger stoking a will to survive. Walking in the rain of Scotland. Not everyone's idea of a holiday. Some prefer sun-kissed beaches. A walk amongst the dripping heather removes one more brick from an enclosure round the heart. Well, back to the Mary Rose. No, not really, don't worry. Still down there. It's a poem about Picasso, in fact. There's a fantastic sculpture by Picasso of a goat made up of all sorts of recycled material, and I wrote this poem from the point of view of a committee of critics who don't understand that individual response to art is the most important thing. They give their verdict anyway. Picasso's goat. The whole goat exceeds the sum of its parts, though much of the goat is formed from material that was not previously goat. Handlebars, tubing, a red detergent packet. It is fiercely essence of goat, emanating goat waves on a frisky afternoon in late summer. Enough goat, but not too much goat, to beget further goats, to get your goat, or any goat. Some argue this goat is too remote, but the committee is pleased with its progress, its digress, its ingress, its arse. There is much about this goat to admire. There are some aspects to ignore. There are small matters of oiliness, brownness, indiscreet bicycle bells, hooves made from matchboxes, cigarette packet flesh. A majority has decided that the goat will do. It is not perfect, yet has a pagan sense of fun. In every vital respect, it is de facto goat, comprised of matters which do not matter to goats. O great goat in the sky, look down upon your kids and weep. Back to beaches, I suppose, really. This is a poem inspired after I saw an exhibition in Newcastle of postcards, and it was broken down into different sections, including the most boring postcards ever published, which included things like the car park at Norwich Airport and the new Asda in Southampton and so on. But the section that caught my imagination was the man in the red pullover. And it appears that postcard photographers have borrowed an idea from Constable of putting a focal figure in red in all their postcards. So when they go down to the seaside, they hound people wearing red pullovers, or they have a red pullover in the back of their car and they force people to wear it. So this is a plea, and the two people in here in red will understand this, I'm sure.
It's hot pink.
Hot pink, sorry.
There's jumper leads in the back of the car.
Have you? Fantastic.
No, jumper leads.
Jumper
it's
leads.
Subtle.
Oh yes, I didn't get it, but explain it to me later.
The policeman said pull over.
Oh, right. Okay. Good. Anyway, back to the poem. This is a plea to the paparazzi to